Most interrogations follow the same pattern. A question is asked, a lie is told, pressure builds, and little by little, the room starts to close in. But every once in a while, an interview becomes something else entirely. Sometimes the person sitting across the table already knows there is no real way out. He is not trying to look innocent. He is not trying to earn sympathy. He is not even trying to be believed. He is trying to do something much more dangerous. He is trying to decide what you get to know and what will stay buried with him forever. On November 29, 2012, the FBI recorded another interview with Israel Keyes. By that point, investigators were no longer looking at him as just a suspect in a single murder. The FBI publicly said Keyes was believed to have committed multiple kidnappings and murders across the country between 2001 and March 2012, and they released interviews and timelines in hopes of identifying additional victims. That changes the weight of every second in this room. Because this is not just a conversation about one crime. This is a conversation with a man investigators believed might be connected to a much larger trail of violence, one that may never be fully mapped. By the time this interview happens, the case is already bigger than the headlines that first brought his name into public view. According to the FBI, after Keyes was taken into custody, investigators began piecing together travel patterns, timelines, interviews, and records that suggested something far darker than a single isolated killing. They later published interviews, documents, and travel information because they believed there could be other victims still unknown. And that is what makes this footage so unsettling. Not just who he is, but how much he might still know, and how carefully he seems to measure what he is willing to say. The case that put him in front of federal investigators was the abduction and killing of 18-year-old Samantha Koenig in Anchorage, Alaska. The FBI says she was abducted from the Common Grounds coffee stand on February 1, 2012, and federal prosecutors later announced that a grand jury indicted Keyes in April 2012 on charges tied to her kidnapping and death. But what followed that arrest is what makes this interview so compelling. Because once investigators started pulling on the thread, the story stopped looking like one murder case. It started looking like a system, a pattern, a method. And somewhere inside that method was a man who seemed to understand, maybe better than anyone in the room, that what he chose to reveal could reshape the entire investigation. This is not the kind of interview that depends on shouting. It is not driven by chaos. It is not built around a dramatic breakdown. What makes it disturbing is the opposite. The calm, the restraint, the ordinary tone of a conversation that is anything but ordinary. Today, we're breaking down the FBI interview with Israel Keyes from November 29, 2012. One of the official post-arrest interviews released by the Bureau. We're going to look at how he avoids direct answers, how he manages distance, how he appears to bargain with information, and why this conversation matters not only for what it reveals, but for what it carefully refuses to reveal. Because sometimes the most disturbing part of an interrogation is not the confession. Sometimes it is the feeling that the person in the room is still trying to decide how much truth you are allowed to have.
Yeah, other ones are really old.
Certainly.
We came in, we're just gonna start by advising you, getting your Miranda rights, and then, you have the right to remain silent, you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Anything you say can will be used against you in a court of law, do you understand that?
Yes.
You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. You understand that?
Yes.
If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before and during any questioning to which. You understand that?
Yes.
You can decide any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. I have these rights in mind. You want to talk to us today?
Yeah.
Okay. We just wanted to get that out of the way. Rich is on his way over.
Okay.
This is the email that Rich sent over yesterday.
No. All right. So he is on his way. Anything you want me to Molly? He shouldn't be productive enough, but we can something.
I'm good.
Gonna eat.
No, fine.
Candy bar enough.
Done with the newspaper already?
Did you? What did you do? Just swear off those candy bar?
Yeah,
It's in the fridge. I didn't notice. No, yeah, I'm gonna eat it. So anyhow, we'll be back out the door here when all right, Rich gets here. All right.
I won't go anywhere.
All right. No problems?
Well,
More you girl care off my little lawyer. How are you doing today, Joe? All right. Okay. Hey, just before we start, I know these guys reviewed your rights earlier.
Yes.
Okay. And then you were just meeting privately with Rich Turner, your
Yes.
attorney. And Rich just came out and indicated that you did not want him to be present today. Correct. Okay. So again, I want to make sure we have those ground rules. Rich told me that you indicated you did not want him present today. So we will take you at your word on that. If at any time you would like us to call Rich back or any other attorney, please stand by counsel. please let us know. Okay. All right. We're only going to be talking about things unrelated to the Samantha Koenig case today. You understand that? Understood. Yes. And obviously, without your attorney present in the Koenig case, we won't be able to talk about anything related to that case. And if you start to talk about it, we're going to have to stop. All right. Is you okay? Yes. All right. That's been sitting in the refrigerator for at the Thank you. Well, here's the thing: the FBI's been cleaning out the refrigerator for 100 years or something. Yeah, exactly. All right. So talking about other crimes, we wanted to kind of pick up where we left off on some things. Give you any information that you might be thinking about over the last few weeks, right? Related to that. And I think we had some updates on the New York search and things like that. So why don't we start there?
Okay, and also the live feed. I wanted to jump into that because I know we came over on Tuesday. We had it set up. We had a couple guys up at Tober Lake. To go over the bank route. Yeah, bit of a drive.
3-hour drive.
Really drive.
Yeah, in all fairness, I never set up a specific day, but it actually would have worked because my attorney didn't show up till that afternoon.
All right. Well, it didn't work that day.
Yeah,
But we had hoped to have it set up today since we thought was going to work for today. But Albany had some other stuff come up. But I have to say it was pretty cool. We tested it in the way that just so you have an idea of what it looks like and what to expect, because we'll try to set something up for next week. But we did 2 laptops. One of them was essentially like a tracker, so you had an overhead GPS Google Map kind of view,
Right.
and then the other one was a live feed actually from the camera. And then the plan, we had speakerphone, so then you can say, go right here, go left here. And our plan was just to use, because Tupper Lake's a little more remote than doing it in a city. We wanted to use Tupper Lake and just tackle the bank robbery because that was
Make sure we have cell reception or wherever they're out
it's
the signal.
because depending on where they're at, they have to use. Sometimes they'll use satellite. Sometimes they're going to use different types of things in order to bring that.
Wow, I see.
It's kind of
I assume some of these places right now are going to be cell phone only. So
Finally living up to people's expectation, man. All those CSI shows.
They still can't usually get the thing solved in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Really?
it's an hour show, but
I'm picturing the Google Earth car. We're driving around.
Right. Yeah, you just go.
So we'd like to still do that.
Yeah.
And I don't have a day yet. I don't know a specific
Search no
day.
area? Probably, right?
There wasn't much. I mean, it wasn't something.
Just go.
typically the morning works for you, right? Because that's what the 4-hour time typically. If we could get that,
Yeah.
this kind of want to drive 3 hours again, and maybe we could just do it in Albany or. But we thought the memory lane trip at Tupper Lake would be more interesting, maybe for both of us.
Well, I'm sure we can find our way around.
So you think next week?
Yeah, I don't have a specific day yet, but we'll work on setting up a date next week, and we'll do it like we did this time, early enough that if you've got other stuff,
Right.
try not to
Yeah.
make a conflict with that, so that we get you down there by mid-morning even.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I didn't realize you guys had went all over. You didn't mix that when you came to me.
Yeah, I did mention that. You weren't receptive.
Well, look, that's all right. It's your decision, but we just want to let you know they're going to set it up next week, and it'll be your choice whether they come over or not. But they're probably not going to set it. They're only able to do this.
We'll do it again.
Yeah. Gas is expensive. I'm gonna within the budget. So.
Tupper Lake is probably still a good location now.
Yeah.
the new things New York stuff. Show you what they took from the property in New York.
All right.
Show you that. This is the list. Some of it's pretty, generic in terms of the description of what this road, but
Wow. Way back.
What stuff?
All this stuff. Anything from New York, you're going way back.
When's the last time you were there?
Well, I was there just a year or so ago, but living there, I haven't been there just since.
You like stayed there and then.
You went by there as added 2011, so I mean, it's a period of time.
Oh yeah, yeah. Every time I'm back there, I go by. But I mean, all the stuff that's there is it's like childhood memories.
Did you live there for a period of time?
Yeah,
How long?
no less than a year.
7, 8 months in 97, I think.
Yeah, 97.
See,
I'm surprised the road's still there.
there's a lot of on one side it's missing a lot of shingles. I mean, such of these pictures are showing.
Yeah, I thought last time I was there, I thought the roof was falling in one spot.
But there's some other pictures, and apparently the basement. Oh, I got some pictures. The basement's got quite a bit of water in it. Oh, here you can see it better.
That's an indoor swimming pool.
Yeah, you can see it.
Is that high groundwater?
Yeah,
So this is the main. If this is the main house, because there's a bunch of buildings. Or stuff here.
there's like an old garage and an old shed. Yeah.
Okay. And then there's the indoor swimming pool. In one of these pictures, you can maybe it's this one. I think it's just the angle. One of the support beams
Yeah,
is coming down, and so it's not super stable.
it's probably they were able to get down there.
Just through the window.
Oh,
Go down, put a ladder down through the window,
okay.
and look down that way.
Yeah, those stairs don't increase.
Is that the kitchen of the main house?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Have there been other people staying there that you know of? Is that what all this stuff is from? This is a close up of that. Or was that how it was when you were there?
Last time I was there, it looked like there had been hunters or campers hanging out in there.
I spent some time there.
Yeah.
Because there was a mattress on one of these floors too. It's not in these pictures. It might be just opposite side here. There's a mattress in the kitchen area. And then what building is that?
That's the. Well,
Because there was no running water.
there was, yeah, there was an indoor bathroom too.
Otherwise, okay. And then you got a third building. Did you guys have animals there at one point? Not like dogs and cats, but like animals in one of these.
Or cows.
The barn.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what they said. It looked like it because there was some hay or straw and stuff still around. This was a box. That first sheet. Those are receipt on there. You can't really see it in the picture. What is it? There was an invoice for some guns and ammo. Back in 1994. Do you remember what that was for?
I recognize some of the books vaguely, not been a while since I've had time on that stuff.
Did you have a place up there that you go to buy guns?
No, not in New York. I never bought guns officially. I was always under the table.
Okay. We'll get the invoice because he said the invoice was in your name in March of '94.
I had a gun on it.
300. Yeah,
That's what I thought. I thought it had a gun on it. That was my interpretation, but I'll have them send up the invoice so we can look at it. Bunch of maps. Are those yours?
Yeah.
Anything you should be
Or the
looking
day of
for?
the computer.
Any X's on them anywhere?
No.
Should be looking
Put
for?
X's on my life.
Highlight. Good. Highlight.
Highlight. The only map you found that had highlighting. What about the map that when you
I thought there was one in the car that was highlighted.
when I was arrested? Yeah. Yeah, but I didn't do the highlighting on it. That's all. I know that's what they were thinking.
Well, it was the interstate that was highlighted, and you
Right.
don't seem to really be an interstate kind of person.
No, that's just.
A couple other things. There's a mattress out in the woods.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
No.
There were some clothes under it. There were some women's clothes under it.
You're not gonna find it.
They were underneath. And then this is a photo from the fire pit area behind the house.
Oh yeah.
It's a ring.
Yeah.
Looks like a men's ring. And those are some like beads from a necklace.
Yeah, I haven't burned anything in that pit for a long time, so anything that you found in there is probably from hunters or somebody who's camping there. So, I mean, there hasn't been I put a gate across the road. As soon as my folks moved out of that place, but it only stayed up for a year or two, and then hunters cut it down. And
What was they hunting? What's there?
Way or two like that.
Was there ever a time that you burned anything of significance in that fire pit?
No, not great.
Anything?
Possibly, but nothing. This is all
Nothing
ancient.
like this.
No, this is all ancient stuff. This is before I mean, I haven't really spent much time there ever since I was in the army.
So this isn't going to be a ring to somebody that we need to be worried about.
No.
These are others. It's just others. Do you have any questions about this stuff? We're gonna get all of this up here, and so once we get it up here, we can pull it out. Like we'll grab this stuff to see what that is. All the invoices,
Okay.
some of this other stuff. That was a little interesting. You know who's that boy?
Oh yeah.
We'll bring it in when we get it.
Sure. Thanks.
So I think that.
You said trip down memory lane.
Yeah,
It was.
yeah. I didn't even realize I still had anything in that. Like,
Yeah,
I'm guessing all that stuff was in the garage or something. Or?
It was spread out. I think the box was in the garage. I don't remember where some of the other, like the one, some of the other specific stuff, but I know the box. Pretty sure the box was in the garage.
Huh.
And I think let me jump into this. But just I have this stuff laid out to show you. Is this place up there?
Yeah.
I think we maybe even showed you these before. I don't know
No,
if
I
we did
saw
or
the
not.
ones that were down.
Okay, yeah, these
Was that
were.
as they found it?
Yeah. They might have pulled something away.
You can see where it out where it was.
Yeah.
I was gonna. As I said, I thought I kind of camouflaged it.
Yeah, that was so like walking up on it. You can see
Okay.
it. We got a report. We got all the stuff sent it into the lab. That's what you do with everything that we get. And on the tray, got a little ammo in there. There's a perfect right thumbprint. For instructions.
Yeah, right.
No, there is. I don't have the lab report.
Wow. Uh-oh.
So, more CSI stuff.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Well, I'm disappointed in myself mostly, but I'm getting
The lab examiner called me. I don't have the report yet. When I get the report, I'll show you the report. But I'm not BSing you. It was on one of these two on the plastic tray inside.
Huh. That's the tray, huh? Like these pieces must be the plastic, like a bottom view of it,
Yeah.
or top view of it. Okay. Slides into that cardboard sleeve.
Mhm.
Oh, it was kind of in a hurry, I guess. Whatever. I'm too lazy to dig a hole for that hand. Cloud rocks on top of it. We plan on going back with that? Yeah, in the summer. That would have been a good trip. I still can't get over the disappeared house in Vermont thing. You have big plans for this summer? Back there? Well, I was gonna go back there. I picture driving up, looking everywhere for that farmhouse and not being able to find it. To guard it down? Yeah, that would have been fun. But whatever, you guys did that for me.
Speaking of Vermont, yeah. Speaking of Vermont, we were talking to Vermont on Monday, and they want to know what's going on, and they are interested in filing charges as they have been all along. Well,
You don't know?
no. I mean, we talked to both the state and federal prosecutors on Monday, and we want to know what we should tell them from your perspective.
Well, it's a little hard to talk about my general overall perspective right now for obvious reasons. So,
Well, just tell us your perspective. I understand that, and we're not going to do that, but we are interested in yours on the courier murders. That's what they're interested in. And
They're also interested in, your cooperation on other crimes and where that stands and whether you intend to follow through on some of that. So that's the kind of thing, that they're looking for from us.
well, like I said all along, my cooperation on other crimes is dependent on what's going on with crimes that I'm already charged with. So. And I've said that all. As far as an interesting legal process issue.
well, and we've been, we've talked about this quite a bit, that Vermont is willing to be patient if they think that there's forward momentum on you don't care about that from the perspective of the family of other victims. Vermont does, and so this way to meet in the middle by giving something that they can then have. They don't even know the details of it, but they need to know we've gotten some details so that they can continue to hold off.
I just don't understand why, even from a legal perspective, I don't understand what the hurry is and what their issue is as to why they want to file charges, additional charges, when I'm clearly already charged, but substantial ones. Well, in Vermont, you've got state prosecutors who right now have an unsolved, according to the public, unsolved murder of couriers. Right? So the law enforcement is under a lot of pressure.
They get calls from the press. They're telling us every week. It's a little different. State prosecutors are elected, so I think they probably feel more of a obligation to inform the public than people are appointed lifetime prosecutors.
But since they called off the search for the bodies, as far as the public knows, they can't even definitively say that it was a homicide. I know they already told everybody it was. If they know that, Vermont knows that. Right. They don't. So Vermont, let's just be a really realistic approach to it. The state prosecutor in Vermont, you want to come out and say, hey, here are the charges we've got. You've got the guy, case solved. That's what you want to do. Right. So you need to give them a reason to say, don't do that.
If you don't want me to do that. I mean, that's the.
Well, like I say, my perspective at this point is they're asking for a reason for me to give them a reason not to do that. And I have no reason to suspect that at this point that any further information I give is going to be used or portrayed to the media in the way that I'm told it will be or won't be, just because that's the way it's played out so far. So if they're saying I guess what I'm saying is, from my perspective at this point, it's a one-way street. And initially I thought there were ways that I could manipulate this situation, this case, all the related cases to my benefit and on my timeline by withholding information and giving information out. And, obviously over the last few months, I came to the realization that I can't do that, not realistically. So, is that your real reasoning? Yeah.
I think we talked about for a while, an idea of this whole resolution on a courier case, being able to kind of structure that disposition around some of your demands. And we touched upon that, and I know that we can't talk about the other case, but
Right.
it seems to me that you give us a list of demands in connection with a federal case on the couriers, that we could try to at least start meeting those demands. And at least say, to Vermont State that there's an expression of an intent to continue cooperation in exchange for these types of things.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. The problem is I don't have any typical demands, or there's not anything you can offer. About this clue idea. Something that we don't, obviously you can tell us something we already have discussed in here. That's not a problem.
Because everybody knows what's been discussed in here, but let's assume it's something from your perspective, you're not giving us anything because you think, hey, we already have it. It's a clue. And it's just something that gives us credibility that we can report, even though, maybe this is just a patient that will give us, New York, New Jersey. All right, well, he told us New Jersey, or something other thing that we can kind of report back that allows us a little bit of credibility with the people that we end to deal with.
something.
Did you find any knives in New York or in the boat? Folding knives. They're about 6 inches long.
I don't know. I think there might have been in the boat. You
think
told
so.
us there was, I thought there was knives on the boat, right?
I think there was a knife.
There's 2 knives that were not in Kimberly's house, and I don't know where they were. I thought they were in that bucket. I thought that they were. I may have left one in New York, or I thought there might have been one on the boat. Just knives that I had from a long time ago. But I haven't seen them in any of the pictures, so I don't.
Yeah, it's Ted or
I can find out a little bit, but I don't think there was a knife on the boat. I don't remember a knife being in the bucket though. In the photos.
The knives. Well, there was a folding knife. Here's
Why is that knife important?
Well, it's a folding knife, so I don't know. You took it apart, you might.
Would there be blood on the knife?
There, well, there might not on it, but maybe inside.
it's in the Interrogations will be. The kind that has the handles are actually bolted or scraped to it or something. It's not a solid piece. In other words, you can disassemble it in some manner.
Yeah, it's like riveted together.
Would the blood be from a long time ago or just the knife?
No, it was not for a long time ago, but I haven't carried it for a while, so I couldn't remember where.
Any other places where it might be?
Well, it was in the boat. It was a long time ago.
Well,
2005.
right. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, they're both knives that I got.
On those lines, I'll wait for Ted to respond.
Ted's the guy that you met with a lot of times up here. He's the one who did that boat search.
From Ted, on those lines. We talked to someone out at the lab when we were talking about, when the time comes when you decide that you want to give additional information so that we're prepared on what we need to do to be able to respond quickly. We asked about, what are the chances of if there is someone that is somebody that if there's a body at the bottom of the lake, what are the chances of that body still being intact 7 years later, or that kind of thing? What are we going to be looking for, and what do we need to have in place in order to be able to find that? And one of the things that they said, which might be of interest to you, is depending on how the body was put down there, it's possible that the body's actually very intact. If the body was just tied to something and dropped it to the bottom of the lake, there's definitely still going to be long bones and that kind of stuff. You won't have finger bones and that kind of stuff. There'll be femurs and long bones and that kind of thing. If the body was contained in something, even a bag of some sort, it's very possible that the body could still be intact, depending on the depth of the lake. All of that determines the kind of equipment that we would need in order to locate the body. And so obviously not asking you for details about where and who and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of the Washington bodies, were they contained in something, or were they just tied to the milk jugs? I mean, is it something where we might possibly actually still get it intact?
No.
Okay. And that's helpful for them to know, because that's a whole different type of search that it would have to be then in different types of equipment. Let me just try to call him. We'll step out and try to call him.
Yep.
This is not an answer. This is
And you, I guess, because I'm kind of getting a different vibe now. Do you still envision in the future us working together to the point where we can get this information?
Yeah, I don't see how we're gonna get anything else done. I just,
I know you're waiting for, whatever you're waiting for to find out. But
yeah, I have concerns with current issues, but I can definitely foresee down the road there's going to be a lot more that can be resolved.
okay,
Yeah,
and that's good.
I can think about it in a different manner.
Okay, but that's good information because we'll be able to pass that on if
Yeah.
you're still open and you're still.
No, I haven't. My outlook on this, as far as the ultimate end result, hasn't really changed. It's just has more to do with timelines, expectation.
But and the balancing game that we're talking about doing is we're just trying to keep everybody happy the best we can till we get to that point, and that's kind of a difficult balancing act for us.
Right.
It sounds like you're holding on to some of this stuff to trade it for something you might need later. True.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't have much else.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, this whole clue idea, might give us a little short-term solution to kind of keep this thing moving the way we want it to move. And maybe even gets you something in the short term. If you're thinking about like, I don't know, you come, you give a clue and, you want lunch or something like that. I mean, that's something that can be worked out.
You need a candy bar.
I know. That's what I think, I don't know if he feels guilty about it, but
If you had a cigar, yeah, probably just pass out. Yeah, sorry. No.
that's what I mean. The notion of this whole idea is, you come over, we keep things going, at least on a smaller scale. You're not giving up anything in terms of trading value, but you're giving us credibility with other people we have to deal with. You're not giving us any useful information really, other than, all right, well, we got, a night in Washington. It's not like we're going to solve the clue game on that, like, Professor Plum in the library and that kind of thing. But it gives us a little bit of, stuff to go back to people and buy time and buy what we need to buy. And, in the short term, you have short term needs that you think, might be fun to have sushi. That's something that, can be arranged. We're not talking about, huge clues here.
What did you guys find in the boat? Was there anything left?
I thought we went over
Yeah.
10 cold.
I saw the list.
There was no 9. Oh, you mean in terms of the lab?
Yeah.
It has not. Everything has not gone to finished up at DNA yet. So it's possible that there were still. There were some areas that did test positive for blood, just when they do like they call it a presumptive test when the people that were searching in. So those things went into the lab. Some of those things were like the screws from holding the carpeting in and that kind of thing. Those have not come back yet from DNA. So the little there were some little fragments that they thought might have been bone fragment. Was not bone. Did not test positive at all. And that was come back.
or something.
Yeah. They didn't warning. We didn't ask what it was, but it wasn't bone. There's some hair that is not yours. But the way they figure out hair.
I was mostly curious if they found it in blood.
Yeah, there
I wasn't
was.
sure how long, because it's been sitting there in the rain for so long. I was curious if there was. I mean, I know there was when I parked it.
Yeah, there was. We haven't heard anything back about it. And then they need something to compare it with.
So there's no night.
No, there was no night to vote.
It may have been. I don't know what happened to that night. It was a Tonto, cold steel Tonto.
How big? Like, was it just?
It had a. It was a 4.5 inch folding blade.
Do you remember what color the handle was?
It looks very similar to the one that I had on me when I was arrested. Just a different blade style. Same company and everything. I think
It's about correct about that. That was the murder weapon for the one watching the roads.
well, it wasn't involved.
It was involved.
I think we talked about before when we were asking about federal jurisdiction about guns. Were either of those shot?
Look at the whole story, honestly.
Right, just to get parts so we can move.
No, the only person I ever shot was Bill Curry.
And everybody else is trying to. I don't want to have the wrong impression, you know. So everybody else was strangled or something else.
Um, yeah. So one of the Washington things that was doesn't matter. It's just no, it wasn't strangled. It's I hit somebody in the head.
Did you mean to kill them or they died? Was there a struggle and you hit them and they died, or what did you mean to kill them?
Hey. I wasn't trying to kill him, I just take him out of action.
I think we read that in one of those letters, the male, the female couple.
Yeah. It's a lot. Rich mentioned that they gave you all that stuff. Should have asked them to give me a copy so I know which ones you have. We could go over that together and we could fill in the blanks. Okay. At some point in time.
Well, we know in
I
Washington.
didn't realize they were allowed to take stuff out of my cell while I wasn't hanging. I was pretty sick.
So you know, the couple in Washington State, and that female couple. You may read that in the bill. Are those the same couple from that you took to the boat and you dumped in the lake? Or are they others? That was a long time. Right after the, is that right after the military?
Before I got the boat.
And you had told us one time that, you know, it wasn't long when you got out of the military that you killed somebody, and it was that sort of feeling that you needed to do something that was hard to resist.
And the days of boarding time. Is it fair to say that we're looking at a lot around, more around the Washington area than not? Just the two in Washington?
No, there's a problem. There's a problem in Washington. Yeah. So if we can't find this knife, this is no question that this should go on.
And then I know we had some night. I don't know what all we had.
I know you got some of them Kimberly's ones.
Is it possible it was that camera?
I don't think so. I haven't seen it for over here.
Could be in different Washington cache.
No.
A couple of husband and wife. Do you know?
I'm not going to talk about this. So what about other caches? Like another cache? Well, the other caches aren't related to any. I mean, not that one in New York was the only one directly related to the murder, as far as I know. The guns, some of the guns are still. Well, that would give us something to go on. The cache that they could go on the tree. That we keep. I think that would keep the FBI busy. Yeah. I'll have to think about which ones I want to part with. If you thought it all still belongs to me, have a candy bar.
If you thought of one that you wanted to give up, that maybe we might be able to work something out with our videos.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, that's another issue. Is there the others I can't find just with satellite map. So
Yeah.
I can get the general areas.
Yeah. Well, if you gave them a general area, they could probably get some.
We just have to have enough information to get a hold of, the type of person.
That covers that area.
Right.
So again, it would be a cache. It's not related to anything. So you're really not giving up any of your cards to trade with.
Well, that's the issue. They're all related to stuff. They're just. Yeah, I just have to think about it. Well, you want to try and remember what's in. Yeah.
Well, it's sort of interesting for you too. You'll get to see what's in there, and you'll get to see everything.
Yeah, and then it'll be like one of those oh shit moments. You dig it up and I see what's in there.
It's real. There's been too many oceans.
Yeah, well, I've had enough. I've had my share for the year.
That's just the way. Well, one of you, if you were able to do that, I think that's going to buy us, give everybody something to do. People like to have something to do. They can be digging up a cache. And then you'll get to see the video works and you'll get to see what's in there.
How long does a body last in a freshwater lake? I mean, because there's no critters that eat
It depends how
bodies and
It depends how-
lakes, right?
deep. I learned a lot.
Because it depends on deep the
Depends on
temperature
humidity
of water.
And if the body's contained in something.
And if it's not critters, it can be like
Bacteria.
organ.
They were
So
talking.
if the water is below, say, 45 degrees all the time,
I would think
That's
that
a
would
good
be good. And I think you said they up to 80 feet at one point. You told.
no, there's one that's even more on deep.
Like 200 feet.
So we should like get a submarine.
Deeper than 200 feet.
You guys know about Lake Crescent in Washington?
How deep is it?
I think that lake is 500 to 700 feet deep. They've never been to the bottom of it. There's people who have gone off that lake. They still haven't been down their cars or anything.
And that's the lake.
That's one of the lakes.
So this is really deep. So this maybe never been able to recover late.
Well, it's over 300 feet and 500. That's the deepest part, but I was saying I don't know how deep it was. I know the general area. I had a fish finder, but it didn't register how deep it was. I just know it was over.
And it sounded 100 feet.
Oh, is that your fish finder goes over there? Anything? I don't remember. I just know if you've been to the lake, you would see what I'm talking about. It drops down like a V. So,
But you didn't go to the 500-foot places for it.
no, I wasn't. I was near the edge, but 30 feet out from the bank on that lake, it drops down to 50, 60 feet already. And so anyway.
The lab was talking about a case recently, actually, where they recovered a car that had been submerged in water. I don't know how deep it was even in, but it was a relatively cold lake, and because it had been submerged and water still got in, but critters and other things were able to get in the car, and that was in the 1940s, and part of the body was still intact because the person was protected by the car. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but there will definitely, even if there's a skin and things like that, long bones can be recovered.
Yeah, I know they tend to move around.
But if there's other specifics in terms of things that of depths and temperatures and that kind of stuff, you can certainly make some phone calls and find out what.
Well, I figured you would have guessed that. Like, that was pretty obvious. But I always have been curious as to what I would think as deep as that lake is. It's probably sitting there just exactly as it was when it first touched down. Could be.
But that was not in anything. It's just ropes or something hold it.
Is that the milk jugs that you said?
Well, that's what the weights were.
Milk jugs. How many milk jugs? And they're going to move around.
No.
How many milk jugs?
At least 4 or 5, I think.
So what about a cast that they can work on for next week?
Well, the easiest would be Washington. So I don't know my way around there a little better. But I have to think about it.
I'm trying to remember what's in it.
Do you want them to line? Do you want them to line up? That's the thing. We can't make the decision that day because they won't have time to. Yeah, they won't have time to line it up.
You think about over the life. Yeah. But you think about over the weekend or something?
Yeah. And if there's anything you want, can you give me like an hour on the internet, maybe? before we do this.
1 hour on the job.
Do a little research. I've been an info blackout for too long.
I think that's, you think about that and is anything you want short term in terms of.
I was joking. I wouldn't do that.
No, I'm not talking about the internet. I'm talking about like, if you want some sort of, all right, I'm going to do this, but.
You wouldn't do that on the internet if we set a computer out here?
Oh, because I know you're just going to go right to everywhere I went. I wouldn't do that.
No.
All right, back. But yeah, no, anything, to kind of task on any short term goals you have, even if it's just for your coffee or, whatever. Obviously, it's coffee anyway, but. Again, it's sort of a situation where I think you're not giving up anything, you're giving us help with where we need to persuade. And Right.
I think
No, I can see I see your point of view. I do on this, but at the same time, I have my own frustrations right now as well. So,
But even like this is productive. This will be viewed as productive. You said you came over and we got stuff and So
It's only productive from a non-prosecuting attorney.
it's productive.
Bella's already got me on our stuff. It's okay. It's okay.
You know,
not getting out on bail anytime
you
soon.
think that I'm not trying to work with you. I am, but from my perspective, you know, Israel said he's going to do a lot of things in a short time frame, and we've been sitting here
Yeah,
looking the months away. And
believe me, I'm aware of the months. I just have a new appreciation for things being done at a different speed. That's awesome.
So let me just make sure I'm clear on the cache. Do you have a general area now that you can give us, or do you want to think about it?
Washington, right?
But I mean, even
Oh.
there's
The two
the
districts.
state. And we have offices in a bunch of places, so we have to figure out which office we're working with.
Within 50 or 100 miles of.
Is there anything close to Nia Bay or
Well, yeah,
area?
yeah, not near Nia Bay, but in that
area? Okay.
As you said.
outside of Seattle, between Seattle and
Yeah. Right. You already met those agents already, so it's not like
Yes,
bringing
already
new
took
people.
them down. There's more pictures from this too. I can grab them all. I can print them all out and have them pretty messed up. I know there were a couple letting go parts and pieces, but I don't. Okay, I can grab the pictures. That's nice. Okay, so do you want me to try to set that up for next week? I don't know. I'm obviously not gonna know a day until it's
reporting.
somewhere.
Yeah, I don't set up a time yet. I gotta try and remember.
why don't you get the computer and we can look right now if you want.
Is that going to help?
An area?
Google, you can look at Google right now if you want.
Well, you know,
He's trying
area.
I'm trying to remember what's in it.
He's trying to remember what he has.
That's probably not going to be on Google.
We can find that together. We'll just open it up and do like Capricorn's balls. It's not that impressive. I was more concerned about the little stuff. Well. Things you never thought you'd be talking about. And then on the Tupper Lake thing, you had agents up there with the cameras, but you just wanted to talk about the bank robbery, or were you?
Well, what we had set up was we just had them at the bank robbery parking lot to show you the light feed that we could do.
We can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, we didn't have any expectations, but we thought the natural progression, because of
Right.
what we've been talking, would be in that general area. So we wanted to get things moving there.
Right.
You know, and if you wanted to just like pull out of the parking lot and then take us to the river bend, that's all the better. But
yeah, I was just, you would be driving.
yeah, it would be like you'd be driving. So. Because we thought maybe that's how it's going to have to be eventually, maybe, is that you might have to be in the driver's seat, so to speak, to see, landmarks or whatever you need to see.
Yeah.
It's almost as good as being out.
I'd like to tell you we were going to drive you to the dig site and we were going to show you what we were doing, but
bit harder time remembering roads than Port Angeles, so I wasn't. I'm sure I can figure it out.
Try to leave that computer for an hour or two though, right here.
No, the south. I'm sure. In Washington. All right. Well,
So we won't set it up. We'll just
We'll get them working on it though, because
get that second.
yeah, the tech geeky guy has to
Our geeks.
get the camera and get everything all kind of set up.
right.
So we will get that moving, and then we can touch base with you at the beginning of next week, and have a better idea of what your schedule is going to be like, and then figure out what everything. And I'll know at that point what their schedule is going to be, and we can maybe figure out some time that will work.
Yeah, we might be. We might be able to have another meeting next week.
All right, what we may do then, Jeff and I may come by the jail and just figure out that piece that we were just talking about timing, and then we can go from there.
In the meantime, I'm supposed to talk to them on tomorrow, and I'll just tell them that, just moving on, these other clues and use that to our advantage.
Yeah, I don't really understand the role we're not.
It's frustrating, yeah, in all respects.
I mean, hypothetically, if they charge me federally, would they indict me up here? Or would they? I just don't understand, considering everything else that's going on, why they would, or how I guess not why, but how it would work. I don't know, like the logistics of it.
Well, they, like I said, they want to be able to have out that crime's called.
Right, they want to put my name on it. I understand that. It's not going to be officially solved till.
Exactly. But they want to be able to put your name to it.
Right, I understand that.
And then the question is, how that it'll work? Do they want to file charges there? And that's what we're doing.
And it's a lot easier for them just to stomach it if they, their forbearance is giving rise to clues to other murders, whatever those clues might be. I think that is able to accomplish our goal.
I understand their perspective.
Yes.
I know. From my perspective, though, even if they were to officially charge me at this point, it's not like it would be real breaking news anyway.
I think, in some ways it would be, because no law enforcement person will ever confirm that you're attached to that. So
it would just be confirmation of everyone's current speculation.
exactly.
So I'm not interested in it from that point. I was just interested in it from a logistics point. And where do they have to fly me to Vermont if they're going to charge me, or do it up here?
Those are some of the questions.
But not to get there.
I don't know. Is it warmer in Vermont?
We talked to them Monday and it just snowed, they told us.
They got more snow than us then.
Yeah.
Got a quota for last year.
Well, I'm gonna visit you up
You
then.
gotta take a leak or anything before we take them back.
I'm fine. Back.
You're not gonna eat this.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.